Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm just here to bring you my latest junk journal kits. So I'm just going to get my camera kind of to the right level. So I've got two kits that I'm putting in my Etsy store, or they're already on there by the time that I upload this video, so hopefully. So I'll do this kit first. Let me move this one right out of the way. Oops. Right. Hopefully that's kind of a bit better. So this one is in a paper bag. It's an altered paper bag here. And if you're familiar with my kits, I try and kind of do them in a way that you have some nice little bits and pieces on the packaging itself that you'd be able to kind of disassemble and use in your junk journals. And also just something that's really pretty and lovely to receive in the post. Is the kind of, plan there. So first of all, I have a pocket, which is just kind of the flap, which I've kind of glued on to form a pocket, and that's covered with some vintage sheet music. And you've got two of those, I think they're called yo-yo flowers, in different velvet fabrics, and they both have a kind of gem centre. And then inside the pocket, I've got various little items. So I've got a couple of chipboard tiles here, one with a crown and one with I think it's kind of a perfume bottle of some sort, but it actually looks a little bit like a kind of salt and pepper shaker to me. The reason I think it's a perfume bottle is because I think it was from a set of stamps with kind of perfumes, although actually now I'm not so sure. And unfortunately the print on it is so small I can't read what it says. Anyway, so that's those two little items. Then you've got a frame here just on some coffee dyed scrapbook paper, and if you watch my videos regularly I'm sure you all know that I love to use the frames. Then you've got one of those Hessian with some lace in the buttons. I did a tutorial on these, so I love using those. I think they're really, really pretty. And then I've just enclosed a couple of bows. So I've got this one on this kind of Hessian trim ribbon, which I've kind of formed a bow and stitched it on the sewing machine. And then there's a pretty organza bow in this pretty kind of pale blue colour. And then here you've got, this is actually a printable image, and it's just been backed with some scrapbook paper. There's a bit of vintage sheet music and this gorgeous velvet ruffle, which is actually glued onto the bag. I have started actually stapling them more often than not, but I'd obviously made this before I kind of started using that as a method. But that could obviously be peeled off or cut off to be popped onto a junk journal page. And then on the other side of the bag, there is, again, this is a printable, really beautiful. I love the colours, really, really pretty. And then you've just got here just a stamped image, and then another stamped image here that again you could kind of cut these off or pick them off, and again some more of that beautiful velvet ribbon trim, not ribbon, sorry, just velvet fabric trim. And then a fabric flower, which again I've done a tutorial on these, in just kind of coordinating colours with the packaging really. So it looks super pretty, and that's just held on with a bulb pin, so it can just easily be taken off and obviously popped onto your journals. It's just got some felt there, so you could just glue that onto pages. And then going inside the bag, the larger items are the following. So I've got a fabric tag, using and creating these fabric tags. Really pretty. It's got stamped images here all around it. And then it's actually got stamped, my mind went blank for a minute, a stamped bird cage. I couldn't think of the word. A stamped bird cage there on some different fabric that I've fussy cut out and obviously stitched around. And then here's a butterfly, which actually this is also on fabric, but fabric that I've kind of Mod Podged. So it's been stitched on, but it's got a kind of different texture because obviously it has been Mod Podged. And then you've got the word love, and then a couple of coffee dyed little mulberry flowers, and the whole thing's been coffee dyed, and then an organza bow there. So that's just item number one. Then you've got a button card, which I've just created this, just using some scrapbook paper that's been coffee dyed. Pop some lace on there, a bit of stamping, and these are all vintage buttons from my huge stash of buttons, and I've just stitched them onto the card there. So you could obviously cut these off and use them as buttons in your journal, or you could just kind of pop it in your journal as is with the buttons on there. If you cut it off, obviously you will have the holes from where they've been stitched on, but they won't really kind of make too much of a big deal, and you could easily, you know, just have this as a kind of tag. Then here I've got what I would use as a corner tuck spot. So again, it's just some scrapbook paper and then various different elements layered up on here, and some vintage, some lace trim and some faux diamante. And you've got a couple of flowers there, a little butterfly, and I would just glue that onto a page like that. Then you've got a folding kind of flip here, which is held closed with this ticket, and that just slips into there like that, and you've just got some lace trim going across. And what you could do with this, and I have done sometimes before, is actually pop some extra pages. So you could kind of get some coffee dyed paper, staple it across and stick it on here, and then you'd have a kind of pad in here. So that's another way that you could use this. And if it became quite bulky, so that it, you know, wasn't then holding shut as flat as you would like because of the amount of pages in it, you can always kind of paper clip it to the side. So that's that. I'm going to show you this item last because it's my favourite. I've then got this corner tuck spot, which this is just on the buff coloured from those suspension files that I've been using, and then it's got various layered up images. It's got some sewing pattern paper and a flower from some fabric trim, stamped image of that lovely bird on the teacups, some lace trim and some of that faux diamante there. So again, I would just glue that down and then just have it in the corner of a page like a tuck spot. Then you've got another kind of folding booklet. I have used string on this, which I like to do. So obviously this just ties closed and then just opens out like a kind of flip. And again, you could do the same as I kind of mentioned just now, that you could add some extra pages for this, so that you've actually got kind of more pages inside. But the thing that I quite like about this shape, you know, booklet or fold outs, is actually this could go any way on the page. So it could go kind of this way or this way. I have used these a lot in my journals, and I've used them both ways round. So, you know, it works nicely either way. So, you know, that's quite kind of versatile. So that's that one. And then here you've got another image, and it's got some doily here and some stamped images, some book page, a little Martha Stewart butterfly, and then some lace trim going across with some faux diamante. And again, I would just kind of glue this down either as a belly band or as a kind of, you know, tuck spot or pocket, you know, or in fact you could use it as a tag really. So it's quite versatile how you'd want to use it. And then I've saved this one to last because it's my favourite in this kit. In fact, I nearly didn't include it because I nearly had to hoard it because I was so pleased with how it came out. But basically there's some scrapbook paper here, and then what I've done is I've just popped on some decoupage napkin with some stamped images here in the corner. I've got some lace trim at the top and a stamped image here which acts as a tuck spot, and also this flower is a kind of stopper, if you like, for the item that's held in. And then here with a bulb pin, I've just attached another one of the flowers just at the top. And then I've had this in my stash for a really long time that I have again been hoarding and couldn't bring myself to part with. Whoops. I can't even remember, I'm afraid, you know, what package that this came in. It could have been a Tim Holtz item. I honestly can't really remember. But as you can see, it's just a kind of image of a playing card. Really loved it, and I've just hoarded it and hoarded it, so I finally decided to part with it. And I just stuck a butterfly on, which obviously then ties it perfectly to the scrapbook paper. And I just thought, slip it in there, and obviously the stopper from the flower kind of holds it perfectly in place. And I just loved how that turned out. So maybe no one else will be as excited as me, but I just really liked that. So again, that could be used as a belly band or a pocket on a page. Just kind of stick it down and then it would be a sort of side pocket like that. So that's kit number 1. I will move that to one side while I show you the next kit. So the second kit is this one, which has got kind of a little, you know, pouch attached to it. So basically I have made both, you know, both paper packages from some vintage sheet music. So the first one, or the big package, I have just literally taken a couple of sheets of sheet music and created a sack or envelope from that. So stitched it round on the sewing machine and stitched it at the edges. And then here I've just popped some more of it, which was, I think, kind of the front cover or back cover, might have been the back cover, on here as a kind of pocket. And then it's also a side pocket there. So the whole thing has been made from the sheet music. And then the same with this one, is the entire package has actually been made again from sheet music. You know, so yeah, I quite liked using that because actually I love the look of the sheet music, and sometimes I love the look of kind of just the back covers and things where they have kind of the composers and things like that. So and I thought that made a nice little matching set. So I'll go through first. So this one's got a printable here and some lace trim, and a little butterfly, and then it's just got the thumb holes punched out. So again, the idea is that you could either use this directly in your journals as is, or obviously, you know, you could kind of cut bits off of it and use them. But I think actually it would work really nicely in a journal kind of as is. So inside the pocket, I've got another one of those gorgeous bows with the kind of Hessian, you know, ribbon trim, which again, I've just stitched that on the sewing machine to kind of form a bow. Then I've got a couple of, fabric embellishments, which I have left all the threads hanging. So obviously the threads can all be cut off, but I've left them hanging so that whoever gets the kit can decide. So this is just some velvet trim and some lace trim on top, and the word perfect. It's all been coffee dyed. Actually, I don't think it has been coffee dyed. I think actually I think I just dress inked that. Sometimes it's hard to remember, isn't it, what you've actually done. Anyway, it's all antiqued. So there's that one. And then this one, this is again, this is some upholstery fabric. It's a bit like velvet, but it's not. And then it's got a piece of Hessian and some lace trim and this stamped image of a vintage plane. And that's all been stitched around on the sewing machine. Then you've got one of those, Tim Holtz rosettes, which I love those, with just the words "the best" there in chipboard kind of stuck in the middle. Then I've got a little frame here on some buff coloured card. You know, that's just on some scrapbook paper, which obviously the rear was obviously just plain buff coloured. So I would just glue that down on a page. And then you've got a little chipboard tile here of a kind of corset, and it's all been inked up and also glossy accented. Then there's a little bow here that I've made here just by stitching it to kind of form a tiny bow. I think bows are very pretty kind of wherever you pop them on a page. And then this is similar to my Hessian buttons that obviously were in the last kit and as per my tutorial, but this is just on fabric rather than Hessian. And it's got some lace trim, so love this one. It's neutral colour and just really pretty, very delicate looking. So there's that, and obviously this was clipped onto the main package with just a little mini peg. Then moving on to the main package itself, so obviously you've got a printable, you've got a butterfly, you've got lots of lace trim which has all been stuck on here, so it could be peeled off or, you know, cut around. And then on here you've got a fabric flower which has been just held on with a bulb pin, so again can just be easily taken off to use in your pieces, in your pages. And oh, just have to show you this, it's really pretty, isn't it, in the corner. So going inside your larger items, I've got these two, which are pockets made from envelopes. So here it's just got some scrapbook paper, some other scrapbook paper, a little printed stamped image, and some flowers that have been just heavily kind of inked up, and then some lace trim going across the top and the middle. And that's a little pocket here to pop items in. So I have used these quite a bit in journals, and I know it's, you know, definitely not unique. I've seen lots of people use these kinds of pockets. So you could just glue that down as a kind of side pocket, so then it's kind of then a double pocket. So that's that item. I've then got this little fold out booklet, which this is just some beautiful fabric. It's got some lace trim there, and that's been stitched on to some coffee dyed paper to kind of make it a bit, you know, rigid. And then it's got obviously coffee dyed pages inside there. So that's that item. Then here you've got another envelope. This one obviously slightly different to this. It's not folded over, it's not forming a pocket, but love using these old images of, I'm pretty sure that this is somebody, you know, very renowned, and I obviously am failing with my knowledge again, but anyway, this character from history. And he's on some sewing pattern paper, and then just onto here on some scrapbook paper, there's a little flower there and a butterfly and some lace trim at the top. And then what I've done is formed a large kind of pocket here, so by just snipping the top of the envelope off. So on the back of the envelope, unfortunately I did have to kind of peel some off because actually I couldn't then kind of get to it. But I would then kind of glue it down, and again I would kind of have it as a side pocket and then a top loading pocket there. So that's that one. Here I've got, it's a printable which I have laminated, and then a bit like the floating pockets that I've made similar to this, but this time I've got some vintage sheet music stitched around it, and then I've kind of popped this, rather than a kind of fixed pocket being stitched down, it's a tuck spot. So, you know, you could then just use something, you know, to tuck in there. So rather like that, and how that turned out, and it's just got some lace trim down the side. And again, I would just kind of glue that onto a page, probably on 3 sides. So you then had a kind of pocket here and also the tuck spots there. So I rather like that. And then here I've just got a cluster, which, you know, I've talked about before. Love the clusters that Jessica makes. So this was again another attempt at a cluster. It's just got some book page, some vintage sheet music, a little stamped image of a ticket, Martha Stewart butterfly, and this was a Tim Holtz flower. So that's that one. And then the final 2 items, we've got one here inside this pocket, which again, I've got some printables on there, making that look really pretty. Is this, and this is a floating pocket. You know, they don't have to be floating, you can obviously fix them to the page, but this is again the beautiful fabric that I'd used for the little booklet, and I've just got some lace trim going across the middle, which is actually kind of a belly band, so you could use this to kind of tuck something in and have something here in the pocket, and then you could obviously clip that onto a page, or you could obviously glue that down, you know, and have it as a fixed pocket on a page. So, you know, the options kind of are there. And then the very final item is this item here, which again is a kind of cluster. And it's just got a printable, some sheet music, some sewing pattern and some book page. It's got this gorgeous flower down here, just taken from some trim. And it's all just been glued on together. Now, obviously the edges are quite flimsy because it is book page. So, you know, you've kind of got lots of options with this. You could pop it onto kind of a tag or a pocket, or kind of onto a page, or even kind of on your cover. I don't know really as it would work well as a pocket, because as I say, these are quite flimsy because they are book page, but I thought it looked very pretty, kind of layers up, and you know, kind of you've got options of how you would want to use that. So that's that item. So that was kit number 2, and as I say, they'll all be in my Etsy shop by the time this video is kind of uploaded. So I'll move these to the side. And then while I'm on a roll, I'll just also show you, I've also got 2 tag bags. So I'll show you these also, just to kind of save having to do another video. So the tag bags, if you're familiar with the concept, obviously, you know, tune out for this part. But if you're not familiar, basically they're just a kind of pouch in the shape of a tag. And it's just kind of simply embellished with some ruffle and, you know, a flower, or, you know, not necessarily like that, but this particular one is, with a stamped image. And again, there, you know, the idea is there's something beautiful to kind of receive through the post, and, you know, useful as well. And they're held closed with, well, this one is held closed with some twine. And then inside of the tag bags, they have a variety of 10 different tags. And all of the tags are different. So, you know, they're not necessarily meant for one journal. Obviously, you know, it would be up to you how you use them. But, you know, I just like to have a selection of things that I can just grab when I'm making a journal. So that's kind of the thinking behind it. So if we go through them, you've got a smallish tag here, beautiful scrapbook paper, some book page and a label here, a flower. And then it's got some ribbon trim at the top, and then a bulb pin with a butterfly and some lace. And all of the tags are all going to be plain at the back, because obviously they are intended to be tags. So at the very most, you might have a little bit of stamping in the corner or something like that. But, you know, on the whole, they're going to be kind of plainish. So, you know, I won't necessarily kind of be showing you the backs. So that's tag number 1. The second tag here, this is quite a large tag, and it's got scrapbook paper, and then it's got a ribbon tab, not a ribbon tab, sorry, a lace tab at the top with some lace trim here. And then it's got, again, another figure from history backed onto some book page and some fabric. And then it's got some flowers layered up here. And again, obviously it's plain, it's just been rounded at the corners. Here, this one is a huge tag. I quite like doing these really big tags. I think they're kind of a statement on their own on a page, you know, which is really nice. And obviously they give you tons of journaling space, which is always good. So this is some scrapbook paper, and then it's got various different elements layered up. I tore a little section out of the scrapbook paper, and just from some sheet music, I've just popped this, which actually happened to be the word summer, which I just thought looked really pretty with this paper, because it's quite a summery kind of paper. And then I've got some oilcloth here. You know, the oilcloth stuff that you use for tablecloths, you know, in a kitchen or sometimes in a cafe or something. So that's what that is. And then you've got some lace trim going across, and then this bird on some fabric here. And the bird is decoupaged and cut out. And then you've got some flowers going across there from the Tim Holtz, you know, some of the Tim Holtz flowers. And then a little flower down here and a little label at the side. And then you've got a lace tab at the top. Then the next one here, I love this one. It's in this beautiful pale teal colour. And then it's just got some sheet music and a frame at the end. And then held with a bulb pin is a teeny tag and a little darker teal coloured flower. So I just love how this one turned out, and I've just stamped a little couple of corners on the back. Just super pretty, and it's all been very distress inked, so just looks very vintage to me and just very pretty. So that's that one. The next one here, this one is again some beautiful scrapbook paper, and then it's got some sheet music, bit of lace trim, and this gorgeous stamped image of this lady. And then you've got a flower down here with a pearl centre and some lace trim at the top. So that's that one. And then on the back it's just got a couple of stamped images in the corner. And all of the papers have been either coffee stained or distress inked or both. So I think most have been actually distress inked and coffee stained, except for the sheet music, which has just been distress inked. So the next one is a smallish tag, which, I mean, I just sometimes love to have quite neutral tags that are quite simple, because then they really do kind of just go with most journals. So this one is just some sheet music. It's got a vintage advert stamped onto some buff coloured card, and then it's got a black lace, black ribbon tab, and some you know, a black organza bow that I made, and then that's just backed onto some coffee dyed cardstock. So that's that one. This one here, this is some decoupage napkin onto some sheet music, and then I've got a stamped image here which I've stuck onto there, and a stamped image of a ticket, another stamped image here on some buff coloured card, and then this little dream a little dream quote down there. And then I sometimes like to have the tabs to the tags off to the corner. I think that's something a bit different and looks really nice. So that's how this one is. It's just got the lace trim out the corner, and again it's just kind of plain on the back. The next one is on some coffee dyed cardstock, and then I've just got a couple of fussy cut flowers from some decoupage napkin onto sheet music. It's got a bird cage there stamped and some corner details and some script stamping, and then it's just got this little journaling spot and a flower, and then again it's just got some lace trim at the top, and the obviously hole there. And then the next one here is, again, this is just some coffee dyed scrapbook paper. And then it's got this beautiful image that has been stamped onto this kind of pearlescent cardstock, which actually, if I recall, I think it was actually part of a Christmas card. So that's there, and it's been backed onto some some book page, sorry, that's all been distress inked. And then I've got a little label down here and a couple of flowers that have also been distress inked. And then the fabric here, really pretty fabric. It actually was some of my daughter's summer hat that she had a couple of years ago. But I just thought it looked really stunning against these colours. So I've included that. I have coffee dyed that and just kind of tore off a couple of bits. So that's what that is. And then I stapled the tab to the top. And then I've just popped a little bow that I made, which I thought kind of picked up the nice greens from the tab. So that's that tag. And then the final tag for this particular tag bag is this one here, which again, love this tag. It's just this lovely coffee dyed scrapbook paper. And then I've got a frame here. As you know, I love my frames. And then I've got some fussy cut flowers from some sheet music, a fussy cut flower there from some scrapbook paper, a little ticket and a butterfly. And that's just held with the ribbon, and it's got a bulb pin with a Martha Stewart butterfly kind of attached to it, which, yeah, that's better. So that's that. And then obviously the back is just plain for journaling. So that's the 10 tags in tag bag number 1. I will move that to one side. Tag bag number 2, exactly the same concept. So it's a tag shaped bag, and it's been held with the twine, and you've just got a fabric ruffle here, this gorgeous mulberry flower, and then a little flower here, and obviously some stamping going on around it. And inside there again you've got 10 different tags. So the tags are as follows. About that, my camera flicked off for a moment. So you've got this little one, which is some scrapbook paper, which has all been distress inked up. You've got some ribbon here at the side, and then lots of flowers going on here, sort of a cluster of flowers, and this gorgeous bird cage down here, and then some pearls here. Love this tag. And then on the back I've just kind of stamped some script on there. That's that one. Then you've got another kind of small tag here, which is just literally some coffee dyed paper, and it's got some sheet music going across the middle, some script stamping, and then it's got some, I think this is called ball chain, kind of as the, you know, the tab. So that's that. Then the next one is here's some vintage sheet music, and it's got a printable there, stitched all around, and stitched onto some coffee dyed cardstock, and then it's just got a lace tab at the top. Then the next one here is some decoupage napkin onto some sheet music, and then you've got a journaling spot here. You've got a what is this? A perfume label stamped image. And then here I've just got some lace trim down the side. And then I stapled in the corner the tab. And I've also then popped on a couple of flowers here, you know, in these pretty bright pinks. So that's that one. And then the next one here, love this tag, really, really love it. So I've got here an image of a bird from my vintage bird books, and that's been backed onto some vintage book page, and then also onto this kind of linen type fabric, which I've just kind of dressinged the whole lot. And then I've put some lace trim down here and a butterfly, and then the same linen that I used down here, I've popped a tab at the top, and then some different lace there. And then I've got this gorgeous little flower kind of gem, hopefully you can see that, which was just off of some jewellery that had kind of, you know, passed its best and was kind of, you know, it was a bracelet actually, and it was kind of broken. So I just, you know, popped off the flower to use. So that's that one. And then the next one is, again, I love this. It's, again, some of that scrapbook paper. And then I've layered up some fabric here with this. This is actually a printed image, but I'm pretty sure that this is a printed image of a napkin piece. So I have obviously distress inked that all around. It's been coffee dyed, popped it onto some vintage book page, and then here a butterfly to the side. I've got then a fabric bird cage there that I've distress inked, and a vintage stamp here. And then here I've got a stamped image of a kind of label or journaling spots. And then here I've got one of those beautiful yo-yo flowers, just because I thought that picked up these blues really well. And I love the contrast of the kind of blue with the mustardy kind of colour. And then here as the tab, I've just got some of that kind of goldy colour bow there. Ribbon, sorry, tied into a bow. Then the next one is just some vintage sheet music, and it's just been literally glued onto this buff coloured file folder. And then here I've got a butterfly there, and I made a pocket here with this velvet kind of fabric. Now the only thing is, this velvet fabric was actually kind of backed onto something really sticky. So, you know, kind of sometimes how a sticker has a little residue, it's got a bit of that. I think over time it would kind of stop, you know, having that. So hopefully then it would kind of be, you know, stop having that. But in the meantime, I just wanted to kind of point that out. So it's kind of got a sticky-ish residue, but I mean, nothing too awful really. But I wanted to use it because I thought it was so pretty, and I just loved the kind of contrast with the sheet music. And then I've just popped some lace trim here, a couple of flowers and some pearl trim going across. And then it's got the same lace trim at the top. So that's that. And then here I've got some sheet music, and then it's got a couple of fussy cut roses here. It's got some sewing pattern paper where I have layered this gentleman here and a little frame, and then a flower here. It's kind of glued onto there. And then some lace trim as the tab. Then here we've got a teeny tag, which again, I really like this. And it's got scrapbook paper, it's got a beautiful heart, and you know, that I've just fussy cut out. It's got a frame there, and a little fussy cut rosebud there, and a Martha Stewart butterfly, and that's just got some ribbon as the tab. So that's that one. And then the final tag here in this particular tag bag is this one, which is just some coffee dyed cardstock, and then it's got layered up pieces of book page, sheet music, scrapbook paper. Then you've got a butterfly here with a bit of diamante trim, and then you've got a bird that I fussy cut from one of my vintage bird books, and some lace trim going across the bottom. It's all been distress inked up. And then you've got some ribbon as the kind of tab there. So that's that one. So as I say, they'll all be listed in my Etsy shop. And yeah, so hope you liked them. If you did, give them a thumbs up. That would be great. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you all have a great day. Thanks a lot. Bye.